One thing I love about a lot of our cards is that they're very versatile. Now, this card is labeled a get well soon card, but you can easily, by just simply changing the caption on the little banner that's included in this project, adapt it to a variety of other occasions. Just because Mother's Day, a wedding shower, there's so many different uses that I'm sure many of you already kind of have in your mind's eye, the occasion that you would use it for. So in this case, we're making it a get well soon card, but again, you can totally adapt it. But let's take a look at what we have here. And here is our card base, simple 5x7 card base. I've already gone ahead and folded it in half. And we're going to begin by putting this, this little window piece on here. And then after that, it's just a matter of, simply just piecing everything together and putting it all together. It's kind of reminiscent of a sort of like a scrapbook project, if you will. So let's go ahead and get this in place. And then we can start building our little, it's kind of like a floral piece inside of a little coffee or teacup, basically, I believe is what Ron was aiming for with the main focal point of this card. So we'll get that going together, and it's engineered in a way where there's really not going to be any guesswork. It should all just kind of go together. You probably don't even need to watch the video, but of course, the Dreaming Tree wouldn't be Dreaming Tree without our helpful assembly videos, so definitely take advantage of that. All right, so get this right in place. You want to just match it up with the front of the card. Make sure that you got the ends and the edges nice and glued down. Okay, and that's just going to kind of create a nice little border for our project. Okay, now the floral part of this is going to be pop dotted, but the actual little teacup, this is not going to be pop dotted. So we've got two layers to this. This top layer I went ahead and embossed with a Doris embossing folder, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension and a little more interest. Okay, so we want to glue that right on top of the little base layer here. Okay, and then this is actually going to get glued right about here. You'll notice that there are a series of little markers there to help you with the actual alignment of this piece. Okay, so it's going to sit right about there, just like that. And we're going to glue that on flat, so we may as well, while we're holding it, just get it in place and ready for our little flower arrangement. Okay, so again, just make sure that you're using the little guides here to help you get this accurately placed. And there we go. That should do it. Wonderful. Okay, now we do have a little banner that we've included as a print to cut element. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop dot this onto the bottom part of my banner, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension. And I believe that I may need to reprint this out, actually, because now that I'm looking at it, I'm not exactly sure that the font should be in pink, but I can always throw another layer on top of it. So anyway, the point is that this layer here is going on top of this one here, so you just want to kind of match up the little scallop pieces there, like so. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pop that on there, and the little banner is not symmetrical, but so it's going to be a little slanted, which is fine. And we're going to go ahead and throw some foam squares on this piece as well. And I think that those two should probably do it. I'm not sure that we are going to need any more than that. And if you've been watching these videos, for some reason, I don't know why, I've just been kind of working my way from the bottom up. Okay, hold on, give me just 1 second here. I just want to get an eyeball on that, okay? So just do your best to get that nice and centered. I'm looking more at the caption rather than the orientation of the actual banner. And let's say that looks about right. Okay, there we go. So now onto the floral, and that's made up of these 3 pieces here. Well, these are the leaves. Okay, so take a look at them. You can see that this one's kind of more bushy, this one's a little less bushy, and this one's the least bushy. And that is the order that they're gonna go onto each other in. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on the inside here. And then really, I think the best thing to do here is just kind of do a series of dots. And you definitely wanna get the dots out to the extremities here so they don't come peeling back. A lot of little details here, so you're gonna have to work quickly, but don't obsess about getting glue on every single little inch of this because it's not really realistic, but do your best to get them up there in those little extremities, okay? And then we're just gonna place that right on top of this guy here, and I'm just looking at the larger leaves with the little cutouts in them here to kind of help me with the initial alignment, and then everything else should just kind of fall into place. And this is kind of why it's important to get that glue out to those little extremities so that these little sprigs up here don't come pulling apart. Okay, so that looks good. I'm happy with that. Okay, and then finally we've got this piece. It's gonna go right on here. So let's turn that around. Maybe start in the center with a little bit of a thicker amount of glue because that won't dry as fast. And then go ahead and start dotting around the perimeter here. And get these little ferns up here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And this little area here that I'm holding with my thumb and my middle finger, I'm starting there first, getting that aligned, just kind of nudging it into place. And then just focusing my gaze on the rest of this little floral piece, making sure that everything aligns nicely, and it looks like it did. Okay, so this part here, I'm going to flip this thing over, and we're going to put some pop dots and some zots on this. Okay, so I'm going to start with one here, and then I'm going to put one here, just to get the center of this nice and anchored. And then, since this is a pretty delicate little piece, what I would suggest doing is finding little areas where you can take and, you know, let me just kind of cut this out of the way a little bit so it's not all confusing. But you can see this little strip here. I'm just taking my scissors and literally just cutting it in half, okay, long ways. And you can peel off these little pieces and just kind of pop them into little areas where it won't be visible from the sides. This piece is pretty sturdy, okay, especially with these leaves here. So I think that if you were to just put maybe a little pop dot there, not a pop dot, but a foam square, and where's the area I just cut? There it is. And then maybe one here. I think that's gonna hold nicely. We can always kind of do the little push test where you flip it over and just push down. I think that's fine. I don't want to overdo it with the foam squares because again, it would be like building a house that's, you know, only 10 feet wide and putting, you know, 20 beams, or not beams, but I forget what they're called. I think you know what I'm trying to get at here. Okay, so now on this little teacup, there are some markers to help you with the positioning of this piece. So you want to just kind of fit it right in there and make sure that you've got it lined up correctly. And I think that is about right. Okay, there we go. Oh, and also, forgot to show you. There's a tiny little heart. It's going to go on our little teacup here. And there are some little markers here to help you get that centered. So go ahead and do that. Just pop that right on there. Okay, so we've got 3 flowers, 3 different sizes. And all we're going to do is we're going to find a nice thin little dowel. And we're going to take and just kind of flare these petals up. And just kind of curling them onto the dowel to give them a little bit of life. Okay, and then you can kind of just roll it around your fingers to kind of get those petals to start standing up a little bit. Okay, so real simple. And again, since this is a card, and since it will probably end up in an envelope, this is going to eventually flatten out. Not completely, but a little bit. So I wouldn't worry too much about making this perfect. But what we want to do here is throw a little bit of glue on the topmost layer and place it in the center. And make sure you offset the petals so they're not right on top of each other. Okay, just make sure it's nice and centered. Give that a squeeze. And then there's a little stamen piece. Way too much glue there. Just gonna dab that. Pull some of that off. And we're just gonna pop that right in the center there. Just like that. Okay, and we'll just move along here and do our next one. Same process. Just going to take and curl those petals up just to give them a little bit of dimension. And then glue the smaller one to the inside of the larger one and throw a little stamen on it. Real simple. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and zot these, or foam square them, to the card to give this thing even more dimension, which will look lovely. Just a little dot of glue. And again, just make sure you offset those petals so they're not sitting right on top of each other. And just squeeze that right in the middle. Okay. And grab your little stamen. Again, with the glue here, Leo, what are you doing? Pop that right in the center. There we go. And last but not least, the smallest of the 3. Do the same thing. And just give that a little bit of a curl. Go. Kind of roll that in your fingers to maybe emphasize that curl a little more. Now these are so tiny that I'm just going to probably, just going to kind of fold them or train them with my fingers. I don't think I have a dowel. Well, you know what? Actually, I'll take that back. Look at this. I got this little guy here to help me curl these forward. So that worked out. I think I got them all. And just give them a little twirl. And voila. Pop that right in the center. Make sure you offset those petals. Give this a little nudge here. There we go. And you can use your dowel actually to really press that down into place. And that also will kind of prevent you from losing the training that you did, because sometimes when you get your thumb in there, or any finger for that matter, you're bound to push down on that paper. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to this. Oh, you know what? I forgot the little stamen piece here. Let's get that in place. Just a tiny little drop of glue will do. Drop that right in the center. And I'll use my dowel to inch that back into the center here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take the middle-sized flower and we're going to put that on first. So that's this guy here. Okay. And let me peel that off. Yeah, this is where it gets a little tricky, especially with these foam squares that maybe aren't the easiest to get that backing off of. Okay. All right, so start with the first flower here, and that one's going to go right in the center here. Now I'm ultimately going to either put a little pearl or use some liquid, like a liquid pearl for the center of the flower. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put our next flower on here, the small one. And let's see if I can get a full zot on here. Foam square. Yeah, it looks like that will fit. And peel that off. And pop that one right there. Okay, and then our large one is going to go right there to finish it off. Okay. Just like that. And of course, and I've said this the last couple times here, our Dreaming Tree card would not be complete without an envelope. So we're going to put that together here in just a moment. Okay, so you can see how nice that is. And actually these are the little enamel dots that I'm going to put in the center of our flowers here, just to kind of add a little splash of blue. But that is really it for the actual card. Of course, you've got plenty of room for a stamp or some journaling, whatever it is you want to include in your card. And that just leaves our envelope, which I have here. Now, I've already gone ahead and folded everything at the score marks. And what we want to do is we're going to add this little panel here so that we have a nice color showing through our little motif on the panel, on the flap, I should say. And I'm going to start by just adding some glue around this design so that we know exactly where that glue is going to be. We don't end up getting glue showing through the actual cutout. So this is a good thing to do. And then you can take the actual insert, or the little interior panel, and just throw some glue around the perimeter. You can pretty much just keep it there. I wouldn't worry about getting it all on the inside, because you really don't know where to put it or where not to put it, to make sure that if we put glue here, it's going to show up through the little design there. So go ahead and pop that on the inside of this piece. Just make sure you have a nice even border going all the way around that design, or the flap, I should say. And just press that down. And then, once that's in place, take your little wings, fold them in, and let me clean this off real quick. And we're just going to do a nice thin line of glue right along the very edge of these little flaps here. And we'll take our bottom piece and just fold it over and press down. Okay. And just let that set for a minute before you go putting your card in there. Okay, and there you go. There's your beautiful coordinating envelope and your final card. And that's pretty much it for this. So that pretty much wraps up this card. I hope you guys enjoyed the process. If you did, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. That lets me know that you enjoy crafting with me. And if you make this or any of the cards from our new bundle, we'd love to see it. So join us in the official group on Facebook by heading over to your Facebook and up in that search box, doing a search for Dreaming Tree Group. You can join myself and the 13,000 plus dreamers that inspire us daily. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to crafting with you again.